Real Virginia is proudly produced by the Virginia Farm Bureau Federation. Since 1926, Farm Bureau has been working to preserve Virginia farms and our rural heritage. Visit our website at vafb.com.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Real Virginia, a show about Virginia agriculture and the people who produce the wonderful local products we enjoy. Brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau. Virginia wheat farmers started planting next year's crop this fall. We'll see where that wheat goes after harvest. The holiday season is the perfect time for this special dressing featuring Virginia oysters. And we visit Fairfax County for this month's County Agricultural Close-Up feature.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
Welcome back to Real Virginia, everyone. We're coming to you this week from Lee Rogers Farm in Nottoway County, where they're raising winter wheat. Ricky Gibson reports hundreds of Virginia farmers grow this specialty crop right here in the Old Dominion.
Once a major crop in the Old Dominion, wheat is now grown on about 1,000 farms across the state. Industry leaders hope to see more wheat raised here to provide local grain supplies to two major grain mills in Culpeper and Roanoke.
Virginia wheat is definitely our favorite wheat to work with. 100% of all of our soft wheat that we grind here is from Virginia, sourced locally. And then our hard wheat, we end up sourcing less than 2% from Virginia. So that's really the big opportunity that we're looking for, is to source more of our hard wheat from local farmers in this area.
Like many American farmers, Virginia wheat growers prefer to plant wheat in the fall, let it go dormant in the winter, and harvest it in the early summer. It's better timing for their crop rotations and spreads out their machinery use. But wheat is a finicky crop that requires a lot of attention. Alan Welch of Northumberland County has been raising it for years and has won awards for his quality and yields. He says getting a good start in the fall is key to success.
We usually get the seed in here sometime in August. We pick our varieties that we're going to plant, and we put them in here in August. Then we'll start prepping the land up as soon as the corn crop's off. We'll start running a turbo till or a disc over it to try to get rid of the organic matter from the corn crop. And then along in the middle of October, we'll start putting down the wheat seed and then working it in.
When the wheat crop goes dormant, growers like Welch and his son Justin move on to other projects over the winter. But once the weather warms up again, they have to focus on crop fertilization and keeping it free of pests and diseases. Virginia wheat farmers can earn top dollar for good, clean wheat delivered to the mill. The best growers know what it takes to raise a good crop, and buyers value that expertise.
Well, the local growers will come in here, they'll weigh in their truck, we'll use our automatic probe to probe samples from different spots in their truck, and then send it to our quality lab, where our techs there will run and analyze the properties of that wheat, and they'll get immediate feedback on what parameters their wheat has, and they'll know approximately what we're paying, what types of premiums we're paying for those parameters.
Millers face their own technical challenges in grinding wheat kernels to the exact flour specifications needed by commercial baking companies. It's a far cry from the pioneer days of a single set of grinding stones and some flour sacks.
Basically, we're taking the wheat in here, we're blending it over here, for the first blend, and then we're sending it over to the mill. The milling unit, we have just one large milling unit, but that has several roll stands, which are corrugated rolls that are really just rolling in on each other, and we have the stream of wheat passing right in between those rolls. So once the wheat is cracked open, we're sending that up to some sifters and purifiers. So sifters will basically gravity feed the different particulate of the wheat kernel through different openings and different screen sizes so that we can separate different fractions into different areas. And then our purifiers will help to use air to separate the flour particles by different densities.
Virginia soft wheat flour is used in recipes for crackers and cookies instead of bread. But the staff at Ardent Mills and Roanoke's Minnell Milling Company grind the flour to make millions of those treats every year.
And then it just kind of cycles through, continually hitting those roll stands and then sifting and then purifying until we've got a final product that we can send to our storage bins. And then we'll pull out of those storage bins and send them through our final product zone to make sure that there's no metal, no other contaminants. And then that'll go straight into a tanker at our facility here. Our main mode of shipping is 50,000 pound tankers. And that's how we distribute to all of our bakeries that we service.
These wheat mills are major manufacturing operations that have invested millions of dollars in major storage facilities and modern milling equipment. But most of their hard winter wheat comes by rail from the Midwest and Canada. So they'd love to see more local growers develop the skills to raise good quality wheat.
That with the end goal really to be that we would be able to source a very large percent of our hard wheat, of our hard winter wheat from Virginia. You know, it's a win-win for both of us because, you know, the farmer makes more money and we're able to, you know, save on transportation costs and, you know, have a reliable source right at our doorstep.
It can take years for younger farmers to become experts in raising a good wheat crop. And a couple of days of rain in the spring can turn a good crop into animal feed instead of flour. But the opportunities are there for those who are interested and are looking for a way to stay in the family business.
Some farms, you know, grow wheat for cash crop. That's primarily what we grow it for, is a cash crop in the summertime. Some farms don't have that need. It's pretty much on the individual farmer's idea basis what they want to do as far as growing wheat. As far as seeing more of it grown, it's a beautiful crop to, you know, watch it come up and watch it, you know, grow.
Thinking of my grandfather, I'm farming the same fields he farmed for many years, and he's no longer with us, but you know, every once in a while you think about him and you know, have the hard work he put into it, and just want to continue that hard work and make him proud and make my father proud, and just carry on the name and the business.
In Northumberland County, Virginia, I'm Ricky Gibson reporting.
Wheat has been an iconic Virginia crop for centuries. When George Washington switched from tobacco farming to wheat farming, it allowed him to get out of debt and improve the fertility of his land. But in the 20th century, the wheat industry consolidated in the Midwest and wheat production declined in Virginia. In 2017, 105,000 acres of winter wheat was harvested for grain, while another 75,000 acres was raised for cover crops or animal feed. The largest winter wheat plantings are on the eastern shore and the eastern counties along the Chesapeake Bay. But farmers in northern Virginia and along the North Carolina border also raise significant wheat crops.
Hi, today we're going to be talking about AgrAbility and how it might help you in the garden from the ground up. Please stay tuned.
We're stronger together, especially at this difficult time. For over 90 years, we've watched our membership grow, and we're honored to be part of such a special community. Thank you to the farmers who provide for us every day. Virginia Farm Bureau is proud to serve our members, their families, and to give back to our local communities. That's the Farm Bureau way.
Sometimes age or illness can limit a gardener's ability to do their hobby. Chris Mullins with Virginia Cooperative Extension shows us there's a program to help those folks adapt from the ground up.
Well, hi and welcome. Today we're in Richmond, Virginia. We're at the STURDIFEN Urban Ag Farm. We're in a residential area, but we've got a big garden here that they work, and they're growing collards this time of year. But today we're talking about AgrAbility and what that is. And I'm here with the coordinator, Garland Mason, and with Mr. Tony Edwards, the field coordinator. And they handle AgrAbility throughout the state of Virginia. So Garland, what is AgrAbility, first of all?
Yeah, so AgrAbility is a program designed to support farmers and gardeners who are experiencing disability, injury, or illness. And we do that through referrals, through recommendations. And this is really to support anyone who's had an accident, a mishap, a stroke, really any type of injury, illness, or disability that would impair their ability to continue farming or gardening.
Sure, as we all get older and we have some limitations, it's good to be able to find maybe some tools, and you all help them find tools, right, that they might be able to use and just help them feel better about gardening.
Exactly, yeah, and we don't have funding in our own right to procure those tools, but we are able to make recommendations and help farmers identify sources of funding to then buy those tools.
Okay, and this is a partnership, right?
Right, yeah, so this is a partnership between Virginia Tech, Virginia State University, Virginia Cooperative Extension, and Easter Seals UCP of Virginia and North Carolina.
Okay, okay. Now as we look here in front of us, I know you brought some things here. Tell me about some of these things that might be good for a home gardener, might help them.
These are great ideas for a home gardener to use. Somebody who's experiencing mobility challenges would be able to use these items. This is a garden scooter. It's got steering and heavy-duty wheels, so it should be able to go down the rows and allow somebody to sit and work more easily without having to kneel and bend. Okay. This is a kneel-down stool, a kneeling stool, so you can kneel down on it. It also reverses so that you can sit.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'd be very useful.
And then this last is called a garden rocker, and people can sit on it similar to this scooter and rock forward and back to be able to harvest or weed or cultivate or do whatever they need to do in the garden.
Tony, how light is that thing? Is it really heavy? That's not heavy at all. So that's very easy to move around and scoot around on.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, you know, these are great tools, and I think I'm going to go talk to Mr. STURDIFEN now and see some of the other tools that he's working with that might help home gardeners. All right. Well, Mr. and Mrs. STURDIFEN, thank you for letting us come here today. This is a great urban garden. I see all the collards and things you've got growing back here, really amazing. And I know you do a lot of work here, so I think some of these tools are some things that might help you. And I know you've worked with AgrAbility to kind of find some of these.
They're outstanding tools. They're nice and light, easy to work with. They're detachable.
Okay.
And I really thank AgrAbility for processing the paperwork with the opportunity for me to get these two.
Helping you find a grant to get some of this.
That's right, and I thank GARLAND and Tony for working with me too.
That's awesome. These are really light tools, and that makes them easy. As we all get older and it's harder to lift things up. And Ms. STURDIFEN, I know this one you use to cultivate, right? You just pull it along the ground, is that right?
Yes,
and
about as much as I do.
And it does a great job there. They're very light, and you said they are detachable, so I see that there's one long pole here that you can actually put different heads on. Here we have kind of like a long tree lopper that you would just click right in there and you can use it. And you could also put different heads, rake heads and cutters and everything. And even something like these pruners, you were telling me earlier that these are very ergonomic. They're easy to hold, they're easy to squeeze. So as people maybe have carpal tunnel or other things and it's harder to grip, this does a nice job of that. Yeah, I can see how these would be really helpful in this particularly large garden that you have.
and they are really outstanding because of with disability in my shoulders and what have you. These lightweight, it really pays off.
Well, to find out more information about AgrAbility, check out their website and also look at the address for their social media. And also contact your local county extension office and talk to a master gardener about it. For From the Ground Up, I'm Chris Mullins. We'll see you next time.
From the Ground Up is presented with the generous advice and assistance of Virginia Cooperative Extension. Visit their website at ext.vt.edu.
Hi, I'm Chef Tammy Brawley from the Green Kitchen. Coming up on Heart of the Home, oyster cornbread dressing. We hope you'll stay with us.
And now, a sneak peek into a day in the life of a Virginia dairy cow. They get their day started. They have some lunch. Get some exercise. Spend time with their friends. And then end their day with dairy sweet dreams. Real dairy, real life, real delicious.
Virginia oysters are a delicacy enjoyed by many during the holidays. Chef Tammy Brawley shares her own oyster dressing recipe for special events or anytime in the heart of the home.
Hi, I'm Chef Tammy Brawley from the Green Kitchen. We're here today to do a delicious oyster and cornbread dressing. I'm so excited to make this for you guys, and we're going to start out by melting some butter in our skillet here. We're going to turn it up just a little bit. We want it to be foaming, but we don't want it to be too rock hot. We're going to saute the butter around, or excuse me, move the butter around the pan. This looks like it's nice and hot. I have some chopped onions, some chopped celery, and garlic. We're going to add that to the pan. We had about a tablespoon, maybe 2 tablespoons of butter in the pan just to let it melt. Now you could use olive oil if you prefer, that's totally fine, or you could use a combination of the two. If you ever do use a combination, the oil is there to keep the butter from burning. So we're just going to saute this up until it gets nice and soft. Would like to add just a touch of salt, not very much. All right, once your vegetables are nice and soft, you want your onions to be a little bit clear, almost translucent. You want to transfer that to a bowl. I would choose a rather large bowl because you're going to be mixing everything together in a few moments. And now back to the same pan, we're going to add our sausage. Some nice Virginia country sausage there. And we're going to break that up. All right, so our sausage is almost ready. We're going to go ahead and add some Virginia chopped apples to that. And we're not looking to really overcook the apples. We've got a nice small dice on them, so we just want to kind of meld them with a little bit of flavor of the sausage. All right, now we're going to go ahead and add the sausage and the apple to our onion, celery, and garlic. And now we're going to add some roasted chestnuts. These are fantastic to use. You can actually find them already roasted and shelled, makes it a little bit easier. But if you do want to buy them raw in your markets and things, you can. What you want to do is look for the flat side of the chestnut, and you want to cut an X in it with a knife. Be very careful because it is still sharp. Cut that off, put them on a sheet tray in an oven for about 15-20 minutes. Where you've cut the X, it will peel back, and then they make it rather easy to peel, and they're already roasted for you. And then you can take them out of the shells and then chop them up to get them ready for your dressing. So we're going to add toasted walnuts to our celery, onions, garlic, and sausage and apple, and then we're going to add those roasted chestnuts. Then we're going to come back and we're going to add some dry sage. I have some dried thyme from my own garden last year where I collected it and let it dry, and a little bit of white pepper. And you might have noticed that when I added the salt to the garlic and the onion and the celery, I did not add pepper, and that's because I knew there was going to be pepper in this mix. And now we're going to come back and just kind of toss that up a little bit with my hand. And now we're going to add some nice toasted cornbread. I actually made this cornbread yesterday evening. It is better for it to be a little bit stale when you want to do these sorts of recipes. So we made it last evening, and then we cut it into cubes, and then we've toasted it in the oven. So we're going to add our cornbread. And then we want to add another ingredient, which I love, and that is oysters, raw oysters, already shucked. And we just want to get in there and stir those up. All right, and then the last thing we want to do is actually drizzle a little bit of a Madeira wine. You don't want the dressing soggy or gloppy, gooey as they say. You just want to kind of moisten it up a little bit. Now you could make this up the night before and bake it the next day, which is fine, but I would not add the Madeira until the next day. That way it doesn't get too terribly soft when you go to put it in your oven. We're going to toss it into a casserole dish. We're going to top that with a piece of aluminum foil. And we're going to let it bake at about 350 for about 45 minutes. What you want to make sure of is that the oysters are done. This actually took about 30 minutes instead of 45. One thing I love to impart with people is that recipes really are guidelines. Although the recipe said 45 minutes, we let it go for about 30. My personal oven at home, I simply have to turn up the oven a little bit. Yours might be the same. You know your oven better than anybody else. So here we have this delicious oyster and cornbread dressing. We're going to plate a little bit of it. Oh, I wish we had smell-o-vision. And there you have it, oyster cornbread dressing. I'm Chef Tammy Brawley from the Green Kitchen. Join us next time on Heart of the Home.
Recipes from the Heart of the Home can be found on the Virginia Farm Bureau website at vafb.com/recipes, as well as on Chef Tammy Brawley's website at greenkitchenrichmond.com.
Wild oyster season began October 1st in Virginia, but you can eat fresh Virginia oysters almost year-round thanks to aquaculture operations that raise oysters in cages and a growing festival and restaurant industry. Virginia oysters thrive in 8 different rivers and regions of the Chesapeake Bay watershed, and each area imparts a different flavor to these tasty shellfish. The pandemic cost Virginia oyster growers up 95% of their income last year as health restrictions closed restaurants. Now that tide is turning, and oyster growers and the hospitality industry are hoping for a strong recovery year.
A modern map of Fairfax County looks like it's all highways and developed land. But in this week's County Agricultural Close-Up, BURKE MOELLER reports that this historic community still has a few farm roots showing.
Located in northern Virginia, Fairfax County is among the most densely populated counties in the Old Dominion. But farming was once a significant way of life here.
We were, in the early 1900s, the top dairy producer in the Commonwealth, and we were also ranked in the top 3 orchard, apples, and peaches crops in the Commonwealth. And now today, speed up 120 plus years later, we are a very urban area, but we have a lot of consumers of agricultural products from the Commonwealth.
While the county has transformed into a thriving metropolis in its own right, there's still pockets of agriculture to be found if you're willing to look for them. Yes, Virginia, there still is some farmland in Fairfax County. The field behind me belongs to Potomac Vegetable Farm, just 4 miles north of the malls and office towers of Tyson's Corner. Hannah NEWCOMB is a second-generation farmer at Potomac Vegetable Farms. They grow everything from tomatoes to peppers, eggplants, green beans, and summer squash. They have another larger farm in neighboring Loudoun County and cultivate about 6.5 acres on their land in Fairfax. Her parents settled here in the 1960s when she was very young.
They were in their early 20s when my father decided that he wanted to actually follow through on his dreams about having a utopia. So he wanted an agrarian utopia, and the first thing you do is you have to learn to be a farmer. So that went okay. It took them apparently 5 years before they stopped losing money. But they started farming on rented ground in McLean, which is close to DC, and they grew sweet corn as their main crop because they thought everybody loves sweet corn, that's what we should grow. But it turns out sweet corn is really hard and hard to make money on. They learned that over time. And eventually over time, pretty quickly, they evolved into a retail operation instead of a wholesale operation. And they started to sell vegetables both to people who were selling at roadside stands and at our own roadside stand.
Their farming operation is now primarily a CSA, community-supported agriculture, where subscribers can purchase a set amount of produce. They also donate to food banks in the DC area. That spirit of service through agriculture is also found at Arcadia Farm near Mount Vernon. It was once known as Dogue Run Farm and actually was one of the farms George Washington owned as part of his Mount Vernon holdings. It's now known as Woodlawn, and the Arcadia program operates on it. The group caters to military veterans to help them transition to a career in agriculture.
In 2018, Arcadia launched the Veteran Farm Incubator for graduates of our program. So we know them, we know that they know how to farm because they've trained with us. And then we set up 1/8 of an acre plots where they could take over and just have it be their farm. They get to dictate what they're growing, although they agree to our growing practices. And they get to do whatever they want with what comes out of that. So some of them sell it, some of them donate it, some of them just consume it themselves. This is a chance for them to learn some real lessons about farm management without risking the family fortune. We want our farmers to know what they're doing before they plunk down $40,000 for a tractor or before they commit to 40 acres. What we don't want is somebody to come out and with so much enthusiasm bite off more than they can chew and start a farm that ends up, causing a lot of family strife and financial trouble. So we let them learn some hard lessons here. Hopefully they just have great success. But failure is a really good outcome for us because these farmers learn best from failure, and there's a soft place for them to land. We've got a tractor, we can plow it all up and plant some cover crop, and they can start again the next season.
Of course, no Fairfax County farmer is better known than George Washington. His Mount Vernon estate is still a working farm, growing many of the vegetables and other produce served at the Mount Vernon Inn.
You can't talk about George Washington without talking about agriculture. He developed the 7-year crop rotation, which is used currently today. He designed the threshing barn for threshing his oats and his wheat and his rye to use at the distillery. He had heritage breeds to provide meat and wool and cheeses, butter. So we need to show all of those things because that was part of what Washington was.
As of the 2017 Census of Agriculture, there are 117 farms in Fairfax County. The market value of all agricultural products is $1,243,000. Crops make up the overwhelming majority of that, bringing in $1,011,000. Greenhouses and nurseries make up $542,000 of that, with vegetables accounting for $216,000. Fruits and nuts comprise $210,000. Livestock brought in $232,000, with cattle and calves bringing in about half at $107,000. Fairfax County may not have a large agricultural presence today, but county leaders over the years have tried to preserve the area's long agricultural heritage.
And that started in 1960, when we had most of the remaining farmland being bought up in this area to provide for Dulles International Airport. And it was actually the extension agent that first approached the Fairfax County Park Authority as well as Fairfax County Public Schools on preserving the original 4 buildings and acreage that today we call Frying Pan.
Preserving agriculture's heritage in a county transformed by explosive growth. Fairfax County's remaining farms are providing much-needed agricultural products for their community and their neighbors, just like farmers in every other part of Virginia. In Fairfax County, I'm Burke MOELLER reporting.
We're so glad you could join us this week to celebrate all the bounty Virginia has to offer. From the kitchen to your home and garden to our beautiful wide-open spaces, we are proud to say that this is real Virginia. For everyone from the Virginia Farm Bureau, thanks for watching. Make it a great week.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart, oh.